Hi, I'm Micheal Killen. On this show, we'll have two segments. The first segment, an environmental activist named Eddy from Palo Alto will discuss with me an art exhibition that is going on in San Francisco. And the art exhibition is called Micheal Killen's Art, Climate Change in the Era of Trump. After we discuss that topic, I've invited a woman named Karen Holman. She has been working in the government of the city of Palo Alto for, I'm not sure, 9, 10, 15 years. She's sort of part of the infrastructure of this community of Palo Alto that helps it be a leader in many, many different areas. We are going to discuss the Mid-Peninsula Regional Open Space District. This is a large swath of maybe 63,000 acres that she and other folks have helped protect now. I'm going to ask her some questions about the future of that space. So let's get started now. Jeb, how are you today?
My friend Michael, good evening, good evening.
Good. I'm not sure I'm ready to call you friend. I'd like to see how you interact with me on this
I
particular
have to earn the term.
Oh,
well, something that struck me as enormously worthy of friendship was the exhibit up in San Francisco at a church in their magnificent gallery, the largest collection of your paintings about global warming and climate change that I have ever seen were magnificently displayed. How did it get there? What did you think about the exhibit before we go into some of the actual paintings?
Well, first of all, I had nothing to do with the invitation. A woman called me. Her name is Liz Breaker, and she is married to Leonard Breaker, who passed away many years ago. But when I was a younger man, and not very long ago, Leonard Breaker, this art historian, this teacher of art, came to me and he actually begged me to let him show me how to get started as a painter, as an artist. And I fought him for a few months. And finally, I gave in, and that began my art career. And I think you know, I have not been painting very long. Maybe this is the 12th or 13th year. Well, Liz Breaker has been watching what I've been producing, and she's part of the art committee, and she decided it was time for them to give me a show. So I put together 10 paintings, and I'm going to show one of the paintings right now. So could my crew back there of 1,000 PhDs, would you show us one painting from the show? This one, Jeb, do you remember what it is?
Well, I see what looks like a cage and lack of freedom. And I see an arm reaching in that's attached to a face. Tell me more.
Okay, this painting is Trump and women, all right? And how does it fit in a climate change series of paintings? Well, it fits in this particular way. One, he is trying to end our relationship in the UN with respect to supporting agreements to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. So he qualifies to be in this painting. And the other thing is we need women to vote for people, for Congress, for the Senate, local areas that will support climate change action. And so I made this painting to try to help women say to themselves, here is a president of the country who looks down on them, will grope them, will demean them. And do you really want to vote for somebody like that? And so that's
very powerful imaging.
Right. And I have to admit, if you look at the top of the painting, on the left there is a hole, and out of that hole is a rat head looking down at the women. And the other hole on the right, we have Trump looking down and grabbing one of the women. Are you ready for another painting?
Yes, please.
Was I a
Go.
little too aggressive?
Nope, no, that's obviously one of the most important subjects in
This,
America today.
this is about the 6th to 7th painting I ever made. And it's never been out of the house, I don't think. And it's called Grandma and Grandpa, What Are You Going to Leave Behind for Me? And you know where that phrase comes from.
Actually, I'm not sure I do.
Another brick in the
oh,
wall by Pink
Floyd.
So Grandma
song.
and Grandpa, what are you going to leave behind for me? And this is a painting that sort of, in my head was, see the steering wheel? If we drive too much, if we don't ease up on using petroleum in vehicles, that fulcrum, the weights change, go like that, and down comes baby.
Ooh.
Okay?
Ooh.
And so that's also up there, and that's a small painting. It's only this big. It's tiny by my standards, as you know. Team of 1,000. Can I have another painting, please? Here we go. What do you think? You were there.
Oh, this magnificent gallery space. The lighting, the coloring, the attention that multiple people were paying. This is absolutely the prettiest and largest area of exhibits of your painting that I've ever seen. So the ambience is dark, but everybody could walk up and really soak up the colors and the symbolism.
Yeah. Now, the painting closest to us on the left is the impact of climate change on culture. On culture. I'm picking different topics that might appeal to different people in this world. And to some extent, what we have here, it's a takeoff of the art of some of the great painters of ever. So you could see Matisse's dancers falling out of a horn of plenty. You can see what appears to be a body, prostate, along the side, and it has breasts, and they're sunny side eggs, and they're boiling or frying eggs, because that's what's going to happen to people more and more as the temperatures get hotter in some places and cooler in other places. And then in the back somewhere of that photo is the big 20-foot main painting of this project, and you can see it slightly above the woman's head on the
big
right.
red horse. That's a very special red horse.
And that's a 20-foot by 6-foot high painting called Safeguard Civilization. Shall we move on?
Do we have it? Okay, yes, keep going.
Oh, this is just a close-up shot of part of that 20-foot painting, and you can see the spring on the right, and that spring is symbolic of, or points out the need for us to be resilient, to prepare for the hits, and to be able to spring back from them. And on the left, it's a big windmill, and that windmill is not going to give us clean energy. That windmill is loaded with different things that have to do with threatening our civilization. For example, you have a muffler on one of the blades of the windmill that's spewing out emissions. You have another blade that has a tree on fire. You're burning gas. Someday in California, Palo Alto, we won't be, PG&E won't probably be able to sell gas because it's too much of an emitter. And that windmill is in the painting because of what reason, Jeb?
Well, it looks a bit like a tower.
Tower?
And there's some funny blonde hair and a big hole underneath the top of that tower.
Well,
is there some symbolism in that, Michael? I think there is.
Well, I want to say, if you think the top of that windmill has a hole in it at the top, and it has hair, and you think it's supposed to be Donald Trump, and and it has no place for a brain in it, empty hole. That is your interpretation.
All right, I own it. I'm happy to share that idea. I'm a grandfather of 4, so the notion of moving our country forward is really important to me.
Before we go to the next image, I want to ask you, how did you feel when you went to this art exhibition on Sunday?
Oh, the beauty of the lights are comparable to some of the paintings that are occasionally shown here, because there's really good, nice focus on the colors and the interactions among the different symbols. But having them on all the walls of this lovely big room it's just, just an invitation to go walking around and reading some of the text that was there, explaining the core ideas. Got another one?
Before I bring up another one, I do want to acknowledge something. You have been a pain in the butt. I mean, you're an environmental activist, and you have come to me and demanded over and over again that people need to understand the symbolism, and you produced a series of placards about this big where you got me to try to interpret some of the imagery that came to my mind as I was trying to share a message. And I want to thank you, greatly thank you.
It is one of multiple steps yet to come.
More things you want me to do.
Yep.
All right. This painting is a black and white painting. I made it in my first year of painting, and it is climate disruption. And I took a look at the Middle East, and we can see tremendous disruption already. I mean, the Syrian problem is really as a result of a drought, a climate issue. And, I don't know how many millions of people have died already, but as the climate continues to change, get hotter in some places, more severe in those places, and in other places it might get colder, the farm area that you have may no longer be, and you got to move. And this is causing already disruption of governments, communities around the world, and I think we're just seeing the very beginning of it. Another painting, please. Another photo. Okay, now do I see you there, Jeb?
Well, I would be the tall guy someplace, but I do not see me. But this is the outside hall, and this church's response to the terrible events in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, are over on the left wall, the tree. But this is the lobby of the exhibit hall. So next.
Okay, and as we look through here, I can see this gold image like the sun. That's another one of my paintings. But maybe we need the next painting to be able to see that one. Okay, here's a shot, and it's clipped considerably, to an extent. And do you remember what the name of this painting is?
Well, I think I do, Michael. I've had the pleasure of seeing it evolve. I think it's called Stormy Weather.
Yes.
How about that?
Stormy Weather. And when I was working on it, it was not extreme weather. I was calling it extreme weather. But then when I discovered this incredible, terrible issue Trump created with this woman, Stormy Daniels, apparently was having an affair while he's married, or she was pregnant, geez. And then he paid her off and then denied and lied to us he didn't do it. I decided to change the name of the painting from extreme weather to Stormy Weather. And it almost makes me start to sing Stormy Weather now that
That's a nice song. It's one of the most powerful paintings you've got. You've got refugees. You have huge, big waves moving through people and places and organized society. And the colors and the infinity sign that's sort of partly broken.
Right.
A number of the themes that you have used before are all woven together in that, and I think it really was beautifully positioned and exhibited in the hall as a featured work.
Thank you. Are there any more paintings, photos later? Okay. Oh, this is again impact of climate on our culture. It actually is one of my two favorite paintings. And that's that head over there. That's the great master artist Harry Cohen. It come out of came out of the backwoods to come and see.
I have a book of his
Yeah.
paintings.
Do we have any more paintings? Oh, there's the big 20-footer Safeguard Civilization, and it really features, or it's inspired by the four most important, at least what I think of, four most important principles of our time. Make decisions based on whether we need to adapt, be resilient, be sustainable, or mitigation. Go out and fight that threat coming at us, and for me, mitigation is the greatest character in literature, Don Quixote. Now, I want to say, Jeb, Eddy, thank you very much for helping me talk and all the other help you've given me.
My pleasure, as usual.
All right.
Look forward to more people seeing your stuff.
Thank you. So, ladies and gentlemen, that was Jeb Eddy. He is one of the many people in the greater Palo Alto area that's really convinced that we have to act wisely with respect to climate change, not only to protect our own families, investments, and everything, but the generations that come after us. Every month, once or twice a month, I go up to the Santa Clara Mountains overlooking Silicon Valley, and I go hiking, and I love that place, and I love being on the mountains and being able to look all the way out and see the ocean and look the other way and see this Silicon Valley, and I don't see houses and trains and cars all over the place. And my next guest is Karen Holman, and you are running to be a board member of the Mid-Peninsula Regional Open Space District. Am I correct?
That's correct. Yes.
And you're no kid at working at these kind of organizations, are you? You've worked in the government of Palo Alto for how many years as a councilwoman?
9 years as councilwoman and 8 years as a planning commissioner prior to that. And also I've served as mayor.
Okay, so you're up for election, and I think this coming Tuesday, voters have to vote. Can you give me 3 reasons why the community should elect you to the board?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me here. I really appreciate the opportunity.
My pleasure.
And thank you for the question. So I would say maybe foremost is my already existing experience with Mid-Peninsula Regional Open Space District. If I'd been around when the name was being concocted, I think it would have come up with something a little shorter. But I think my experience with that organization already, in 2010, they were seeing an increase of doubling of visitors to the preserves, and they decided to create a new vision plan. So they put together a Citizens Advisory Committee, and I was honored to be serving as co-chair of that group. I've been involved in other aspects of the organization already as well, including legislative lunches and retreats and that sort of thing. So I have a good familiarity with the organization itself.
So that's one.
That's one.
One reason. And I want to say, in my little life, I've been able to have this job, that job, that job, that job. A lot of jobs, you know. And I have found if I took a new job, and if I didn't know the people, I didn't know the structure of the organization, if I hadn't done something with them, it was very hard to be successful in the job. I mean, there's so much to learn. So you already have accomplishments. Familiarity, you know the people, you know the issues. Okay, so that's one reason people should vote for you. You have accomplishments and experiences with that organization. What's another one?
Well, you referenced it, I think, to begin with. I have actually a combined 17 years of experience serving in Palo Alto government. As I'd said, serving as mayor, city council member, planning commissioner, before that neighborhood organizations and such. And I've demonstrated, I believe, a collaborative approach to working with colleagues. We deal with many of the same issues that an organization such as Midpen does, whether it's budget management or project review, environmental analysis, especially on planning commission. I reviewed a lot of sensitive habitat issues with projects in the open space, Palo Alto's open space areas. Those are consistent, would carry over to the Midpen position.
Okay, so are you saying two things? You have experience working with other organizations that also now work with the Mid-Peninsula Regional Open Space District. So you know the organizations to an extent that they work with, and I think you're also saying you have a certain personality that enables you to collaborate and work with others to form partnerships where you need to be strong. Is that what you're saying?
More or less. I think I do have a collaborative approach, and I'm told that I have a collaborative approach. How one comes to a conclusion, one isn't always successful. Sometimes if you hang around long enough, people come around to your way of thinking, but it's collaborative, whether successful or not. And I've had certain successes, of course, but it's not always, you don't always get to win everything that you want, of course. And that's part of being collaborative. You have to be a good winner and a good loser.
Okay, that's good. And I just want to share two things. You know, I collaborate. A lot of people collaborate with me. I really could not do that when I was a young man. I always had to find a way to become in charge and to get my way. But in later life, wisdom has come into my being, and I invite other artists. I invite scientists, mathematicians, academics to come into my studio, or I meet with them for lunch, and I try to get their ideas, and I share mine, and I get feedback, and this collaborative effort leads to ideas and directions and accomplishments I could never have thought of. So I think that's another wonderful quality you have.
Well, I think there's a lot to be learned from people that don't agree with us. So we sometimes learn less from people that we agree with than we do from people that don't agree with us. Because it's always good to look at the different aspects of things, the different perspectives.
Yeah, so somebody who disagrees with you might give you another perspective to add to your own. And in some cases, you'll go along with it, okay? And in other cases, it might encourage you to rise up and find alternatives now that may even be better than that.
I would agree with that, yes. Yeah.
All right, now, have we done 3 or 2?
We've done 2. And the third one I would say is, it's a little bit hard to limit to 3, but I would say the third one is my decades-long expressed commitment to the environment, my passion-driven engagement with the environment, and this goes back more than my 17 years serving in an official capacity, has earned me the support from not only the Sierra Club, but Congresswoman Anna Eshoo, Assemblymember Kevin Mullen, who's actually Speaker Pro Tem, the Palo Alto Weekly, the Daily Post, a long list of environmental and community leaders, and maybe most importantly, the support and trust of all 7 current Midpen board members and the recently retired Midpen General Manager Steve Abers. And I'm very honored to have the support and the confidence that they've placed in me.
You know, that's like hitting a home run with more than the bases double. I mean, you have, let's see, you have all the existing board members of the Mid-Peninsula Regional Open Space District.
That's correct.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Well, I was asked some time ago to consider running to take the place of Nonette Hanko as she was thinking of stepping down. Nonette's one of the co-founders, and I was very honored that she asked me to do that. And I didn't say yes right away because, you know, life happens, as we were talking about before we started this program. Life happens, so I really didn't decide until later this year that I certainly had the passion, but I wanted to make sure that I had the energy after 17 years and public engagement before that to take it on. And it would make me very, very happy to be able to fulfill the vision plan that I helped create as a member of the Citizens Committee of the Vision Plan.
So you're Karen Holman, and you're up for election right now. And
That's
people
correct.
should get out before Tuesday and vote if they think they want to have you be on that board. And by the way, my wife and I already voted.
Well, thank you.
And
thank you.
we voted for you. And my decision had a lot to do with it. I have seen you around the city hall, events at Palo Alto, and you always seem to be doing, you know, solid, nice things. And you come across, you know, really very, very sincere. And now that I hear people like all the board members of that organization endorse you, I mean, who else would they dare vote for? I mean, Jesus. And then Anna Eshu, who is an icon in this area and highly respects, she endorsed you. That is truly amazing. I have, I think, maybe one or two more questions. Why do you want to be on the board of the Mid-Peninsula Regional Open Space District?
To come up with a shorter name, no, because it's my passion. I grew up climbing trees and floating down rivers in the Midwest, and it's, you know, I always wanted to be out of doors, and it's just kind of in my blood. I'm very passionate about it. I can get lost looking at the bark in a tree, for instance. It's really, I'm very impressed and influenced by the majesty of our open space districts, by nature, and it would be a great honor to be able to serve the public by making that more accessible to the public.
Would you die to make sure nobody diminishes what that organization has already developed?
Boy, that's a big question. Would I die for that? I don't think that would be necessary, probably, but I would certainly work my hardest to make sure that its mission, that was approved, by the way, by the voters in 2014, overwhelmingly, $300 million bond measure to help support its work and expand its work. I would work very, very hard to expand their efforts and to see that vision completed.
Well, Karen, if I could vote again, I would do it Monday or Tuesday. Ladies and gentlemen, my guest has been Karen Holman, and she's running for a member of the board of the Mid-Peninsula Regional Open Space District. I am Micheal Killen. Thank you very much.